Story 1. Hire 3 lawyers. The first lawyer will handle all the collection, transfers, and investments. The second lawyer will audit the first lawyer to ensure I am not being taken advantage of. The third lawyer will oversee the first and second lawyers to ensure they do not collude to deceive me. Story 2. Follow the step-by-step directions of Blake class. Story 3. Ask myself how that would be possible, as I do not play the lottery. Story 4. Hire a good attorney to optimize your taxable event and winnings. Story 5. Actually, I would be very scared. Then, when certain media outlets ask, how did I react? I will tell them I was very scared and see if that is ever published anywhere. Story 6. Hire a lawyer and find a good money manager without telling anyone. Quit my job. Be free from debt. Free to pursue my passions. Free from obligation. I could finally be happy. Story 7. Standing in front of a mirror and masturbating because it is the last time I am doing it myself. Story 8. You all people are stupid. I went to order some food and drink, and buy the things I always wanted. Not crazy spending like a $5,000 limit. Then the next day, worry about lawyers and those issues. You have to be Peter Pan, not Captain Hook, every now and then, especially if you win that money. Story 9. Divide 10% of the prize and give it to family, wish them luck, and tell them they will receive nothing else for at least a year. Take the rest to a wealth manager and invest in income-producing assets. Go to a lawyer to set up a trust for the investments and for the grandchildren. By the anniversary, the trust will have 1 year of income. Divide 90% of that money among family and wish them luck. The remaining 10% is reinvested back into the trust. Story 10. Pay off all our debts so we can start fresh. Set aside some money for investment and then probably buy a house for a change. Story 11. Honestly, it is a tie between paying off debt or giving my older brother money. Story 12. Pay off my debt and, depending on how big the win is, invest a large portion of the winnings. Story 13. Collect the winnings and do not tell anyone. Not friends, family, or anyone else. At least not for a few months. Story 14. Never specified how much I won. I guess I will buy a Big Mac. Story 15. I'm not counting all the boring legal and accounting stuff as the first thing. For the purpose of these kinds of questions, I consider that thing 0. We all know the spirit of the question is what matters. For me, I would secure as much privacy as possible and find a decent house somewhere that has a lot of land in the country. Then I would travel a lot. Story 16. Request payment to prevent this question from being posted again. Story 17. Hire an accountant and a lawyer. Pay off my mortgage. Even if I am likely to sell this house and get a new one, it would not be for a year or so. I want to pay it off just to do it. Story 18. Pay off my debt. Quit work. Go to Amsterdam to recover from the shock. Story 19. Hire a lawyer and a financial advisor. Then pay off all my debts and make investments using the advisor's advice. Story 20. Place an unpleasant item on the boss's desk. I like the person, but it is just something people do. Story 21. Buy some high-end bread, not the normal stuff I eat, and get some of the finest salami I can find. Snack and chill. Then be quiet. Story 22. Post on Reddit asking what people would do if they won the lottery. Story 23. A husband wins the lottery. He calls his wife. I hit the lottery and I won big. Start packing. Wife. Are we going somewhere? Husband. No, just get out of here. Story 24. Invest and use the rest to update my wardrobe and decorate my house. Story 25. Give the ticket to a trusted family member to claim the winnings. Story 26. Widen my eyes upon finding out. Knowing can put in my 2 weeks at work. Try to take mom somewhere nice, among other things. Story 27. Stop working and spend vacation somewhere for half a month. Then come back to plan the future life. Story 28. Get some clarity, then sit on it for a few days and do some housekeeping to ensure it is managed as best it can be. Also, look up ways to claim it anonymously since my state requires a photo with a name to claim it. Story 29. Depends on how much I win. Under $1 million, I would probably call my wife and say we are having a fancy dinner night. Then I would take a day of paid time off the next day to relax. Between $1 million and $10 million, I would do the same as above, but also take the day to contact a financial advisor. Luckily, I know a very good one. Between $10 million and $100 million, I would do the same as above but quit my job on the spot and also call a lawyer. Over $100 million, I would tell no one for a few months. I would keep things as normal as possible and not claim the money right away. Then I would start contacting legal and financial services and have everything secured before claiming the money. Once I claim the money, I will tell my wife and lay out what our future could look like. Story 30. Cry first. Call my husband and cry with him more. Then I would contact my husband's best friend forever, who is self-made, for advice on a financial advisor and an attorney or two. He is the only person we know who would not ask for a cent since he does not need it. Story 31. Make a post about it on Reddit and wait for the comments about how I am now winning. Story 32. Hire a lawyer and a financial advisor. Put some in a trust fund for our children. Pay off all of our debts. Build a dream house, which is essentially our final house but with bigger bathrooms. While all that is underway, take a worldwide vacation. Story 33. Get an attorney to plan our future without financial problems. Story 34. Make sure to arrange for the funds to be deposited into my accounts. This has not happened yet. Story 35. Hire a lawyer, accept it in a blind trust, and then hire a wealth manager. I would not tell anyone besides my spouse. Story 36. I would ask the police to investigate the fraud, since I do not buy lottery tickets. On a serious note, I am reliably informed that winning more than you could ever make on your own has ruined the lives of almost all such winners. The key issue is that if you have won it, and you were to lose it, which becomes an ever bigger threat as time passes and money flows, you can never hope to replace it. The stress of that drives people over the edge. Instead, I invest in myself and what I understand. Story 37. Keep my mouth shut. The panhandlers will be coming out of the woodwork. All of a sudden, relatives will treat you like one of the family. Every charity you ever heard of will be lobbying you to support their cause. Story 38. Quit my job and leave a large mess on my boss's and the general manager's desk. Story 39. Financial advisor and lawyer arranged how to keep enough to work for me and spend a portion on charities and supporting my family and loved ones. Story 40. Close all of my social media accounts and change my phone number. Story 41. Honestly, I would probably break down and cry. Once I regained my composure, I told my wife we would be contacting an attorney and then a financial advisor. The main goal would be to ensure as few people as possible knew about our newfound fortune. Story 42. I would spend a lot of it on alcohol and drugs. The rest I would just waste. Story 43. Send requests for money to certain people. If they decline without a valid reason, they are automatically excluded from any of my winnings when I announce my windfall. Story 44. First, I would smile. Then I will call my best friend, who is a very successful certified financial planner. Story 45. Grab my chest and say goodbye to this mortal plane. I am not that lucky to win ever. Story 46. Pay off all debt, invest the rest, set aside $20,000 as a cushion not for reckless spending, and continue working and pursuing an education. Story 47. Like most people have said, hire a financial advisor and an attorney, and do not tell another soul. Story 48. Pay off all debt, including the debt of my close family. All matters handled by a lawyer and financial manager. Wife and children family trip through Europe for 1 month, with 2 weeks spent only with my wife if the children say school is more important to them. Buy an island and a private jet. Story 49. The first rule of Fight Club is we do not talk about Fight Club. Story 50. Well, only by threat of imprisonment, give half to the government. Story 51. I have already thought this through. First, I am not telling anyone, not even my wife, for at least a year. I am hiring a lottery lawyer and creating a trust. I plan on not spending a single dime for at least 365 days while I let reality set in and the dopamine rush taper off. Investment discussions will start with how to potentially live the lifestyle I dream of by using the interest earned from the winnings. After that, I will explore either buying or building our dream house and moving our elderly parents somewhere nearby. Our children will be told very early on that they are not entitled to the money or luxuries, at least not until they are 3-5 and have an established job and education. We do not believe anyone should simply be given a silver spoon. They need to learn to work, deal with people, handle stress and difficult bosses, give back to society, and when they are mature enough, they will have something in the end. Ideally, we would have enough to contribute significantly to our local area. I would like to help tackle homelessness, support underprivileged youth in school programs, and maybe help some people with their medical bills. You cannot take money with you when you die. Our lifestyle would not change much, but having a nicer house with a built-in personal fitness center, an in-ground pool and hot tub, and cars that actually look nice and do not break down like a Jaguar would be very nice. Being able to take my wife out to eat or to a coffee shop in the morning without worrying about how to pay the bill would be life-changing. Being able to spend time with my family instead of being away chasing money while the best years of my life slip by would be wonderful. I do not need a mansion, exotic sports cars, jewelry, or private jets. I do not even need a summer home. I would be happy simply having enough to spend time with my wife and kids and not have to say no to simple things because we cannot afford them. Unfortunately, I have many unpleasant and spiteful family members, aunts, uncles, cousins, who have been miserable and slanderous because my family went to college and got decent jobs instead of getting involved in drugs and crime. They have always felt entitled to handouts, have either received them or lied about repaying us, and have never once been grateful. I would also discuss with an advisor how to learn to say no. Story 52. Buy a car tent and a new fishing rod. I have been looking at them and then hopefully eat some freshly caught trout. I want to have a relaxing night outside every weekend at different lakes. Story 53. Hire a lawyer to check if I live in a state where I can remain anonymous. Story 54. I have always had this idea, and I am not sure if it would work. If a lawyer reads this, please let me know if it is possible. In my state, I believe an individual has to claim the lottery, so I could not hide behind a company. My idea was to hire a lawyer to legally change my name, hire a Hollywood makeup artist to drastically change my appearance on the day I claim the winning ticket, then have the lawyer change my name back. It seems like a good way to throw anyone off my trail. Story 55. Do not tell anyone. Hire a lawyer and a certified public accountant who are strangers to each other. Find that Reddit masterpiece on what to do if you win the lottery. Count on about 6 months before any major noticeable changes. Make sure I have multiple layers of secure money staged before even telling my wife. Story 56. Trade my truck in and pay cash on the rest for a brand new diesel. Then buy land and build a shop. Then save and invest the rest. Story 57. Donate 80% to men's mental health or establish a charity that genuinely helps. Story 58. Determine the amount I will actually keep after taxes. Story 59. I will tell you what I would do, 2 women at the same time. Story 60. Start working on an elaborate and effective plan to fake my death as soon as I collect the winnings. Story 61. How much? $10? $1 million or more. If it is a large amount, first consult a lawyer, then a financial advisor, and after that, my family. Story 62. First thing, I guess I will pay off the small amount of debt I have, mainly student loans. Story 63. Lawyer, car loan, house, kids' college, investments, travel fund, home recording studio. In that order. Story 64. Shut down my business and throw my phone in the river. Story 65. 2 women at the same time, man. Isn't that always the answer? First thing at least. Note, first, not the only thing. So do that, then hire the lawyers and security. Story 66. Glad this is posted every other week. I was running out of ideas of what to do with my millions. Story 67. Update my Tinder picture to one of me holding the large lottery check. Story 68. I will tell you what I would do, man. 2 women at the same time, man. Story 69. Double check the numbers. Yell my wildest, happiest yell. Then I would sign the back of the lottery ticket and put it in a safety deposit box while I get things figured out. Story 70. I am logically against buying lottery tickets, so I expect that I am in a lucid dream. Story 71. That would depend greatly on the amount we were discussing. Story 72. Keep my mouth shut and hire a lawyer who specializes in claiming anonymous lottery winnings. Story 73. Claim it anonymously, hire a lawyer and a good financial advisor to invest it all and live off the interest. Continue to work, albeit with a slightly nicer vehicle. Probably fix all the things wrong with my house and invest in the business my wife and I own. Story 74. Boring legal talk and debts aside, I'm bringing my friends with me to go on an absolute celebration. We're all coming home exhausted with a long list of sexually transmitted diseases. Story 75. Check to make sure all my information in permanent ink is on the ticket. Story 76. Debt-free. Give a little to my close circle who helped me when I needed it. Leave the country and set up a new life in a country I have been before where the cost of living is much less. Invest some money for my children and donate the rest. Story 77. Nothing. Do not do anything. You do not want to attract any attention, so do not collect the money. Do not sign the back of the ticket. Do not do anything. Just pretend you did not win and continue living your life as if you did not. Keep that up for at least a week, then another week, a month, a year, and the rest of your life. Story 78. Find an investment with steady income so I never have to work again in my life. Story 79. First thing. Replacing my 2010 Honda Civic, probably with something practical and unassuming to avoid drawing unnecessary attention. After securing proper representation, I will explore the possibility of establishing a local art cooperative. Story 80. Aside from telling my wife, hire an expert tax lawyer and a certified public accountant, and require that both are bonded. Then hire someone to oversee them. Both should have knowledge of the details of moving money outside the country for the purpose of obtaining economic citizenship elsewhere. Story 81. Wake up. I cannot even win a raffle if I am the only entry. Story 82. I would say leave a mess on my boss's desk. Sadly, I have a nice boss, so I would go to the next McDonald's and leave a mess on the owner's office table because he is probably a greedy minimum wage payer. Then I would claim it is Jimmy's fault. There is always a poor Jimmy working at McDonald's because he hired me for the chocolate bomb. So Jimmy gets fired. Then I tell nobody that I am very wealthy. I go back to work, always thinking I can leave a mess on desks now. Story 83. Sit down and make a list of the people I want to give money to, including welfare organizations. Story 84. Engage a lawyer. Find a new financial expert. Eliminate all previous arrangements and begin anew. Story 85. Whenever something fortunate happens, people tell me to buy a lottery ticket. I suppose I would buy another ticket and increase my chances. Story 86. Call my financial advisor and hire a lawyer. I live in a state where you have to reveal your identity to collect, so I am also changing my phone number and moving as soon as possible. The money would be nice, but it is going to be a nightmare. Story 87. Pay off all the debts owed. Hire a lawyer to set up a trust fund for my children for college and post-college expenses. Purchase a house to stop renting, buy a reliable car, and take a short vacation from reality. Keep the rest for emergencies and small investments. I would still keep my job because anything can happen. On a side note, I would not announce to anyone that I won the lottery. Story 88. Change my telephone number and hire a lawyer and an accountant. Story 89. I have already moved to a tropical island. Please delete my social media accounts and upgrade my phone to a new model without transferring my contacts. Story 90. Pay off the mortgage, try to invest a bit, support my parents, and then celebrate. Story 91. Tell everyone that I have already lost everything while secretly meeting with financial advisors and others. Story 92. Hire a lawyer and a financial advisor. After that, I would pay off all my debt, quit my job, and take some time before making any big decisions. Story 93. There was a post years ago where the Reddit user explained what you should do if you win a lottery. It was pretty comprehensive. I will see if I can find it. Edit, here you go. Story 94. Deposit the money in a brokerage account and keep the information confidential. Story 95. Pay off my debts, pay off my sister's debts, pay off my best friend's debts, do remodeling and repairs to my house, buy my husband a new car, and talk to a financial advisor to figure out what else I need to do. I hope it is a big enough lottery to cover all that. Story 96. Pay off all my debt, my mother's debt, my boyfriend's debt, and his mother's debt. Story 97. Quadruple check that I actually won and that it was not a trick, prank, or simple error. The second step is to remain calm until I can find a private area to express my excitement. Next, start looking for a lottery lawyer followed by a financial advisor. Story 98. After hiring an attorney to establish a private method to claim it, I would have a list. Pay bills. Set up a fund for all family members for long-term retirement accrual and payouts. Add additional security to all locations. Once the future is set up, I would focus on funding specific charities. Story 99. My happy self would drive directly to the place that collects my house payments, and it would be paid in full. Then I would get a lawyer for whatever is left, and probably a second one because I have a feeling that getting the deed signed over is going to be a hassle. Story 100. Hire a lawyer, then take the 30-year annuity which will pay out all the winnings. If you take the lump sum payout, it only equals about 10 years of what the annuity pays. Story 101. Several people have said to hire a lawyer. Let me tell you a true story. William Marsh Rice was a wealthy Texan who told friends that he intended to found a university as his legacy when he died. Imagine their surprise when his will was read after his death, and everything went to his lawyer and his valet. Turns out the lawyer forged a new will, and they murdered the old man. That was the origin of Rice University in Houston. Story 102. Choose the monthly payout and consider working part-time or trying to start my own business. Story 103. Give half the money to the person who bought me the ticket because I would never spend money on a lottery ticket. Story 104. Buy 20 acres with its own water source. Build 3 small homes for our family. Story 105. I will tell you what I would do, man. 2 women at the same time, man. Lawrence, Office Space. Story 106. Tell everybody on Reddit because we are all anonymous here. Story 107. The first thing I would do is arrange to meet with the bank manager. A sudden deposit of that volume would trigger alarms. My account would probably be frozen. I would need access to my actual regular amounts so I could pay the bills. Story 108. Hire a financial advisor who specializes in windfall income. Avoid hiring an attorney first. Attorneys may take a large portion of your money before doing any work. Allow your financial advisor to recommend an attorney to prepare the necessary paperwork to protect yourself. Story 109. Pay taxes. In this way, I ensure that the government does not come running after me. Story 110. Get a safe deposit box. Put the ticket inside and let it soak in for about 3 months. My friends wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I am in a daze from the lottery. Story 111. After consulting with a lawyer and financial advisor, buy property in Vancouver or Seattle and retire. Story 112. Okay, let us assume I did all the boring but arguably most important tasks. This question is about the first enjoyable thing I would do. I would definitely hire a personal chef or multiple chefs, so that every meal was prepared and I never had to cook again unless I wanted to for fun. Story 113. After all the professionals have been paid and the money is mine, I will buy the biggest ranches I can, as well as lots of property. As a large landlord, I would have small profits on each property, but with volume, I would have large profit. That would keep rent manageable for the average family. I would travel all over the United States and the world, see everything, and support locals everywhere I went. I would become an influential vlogger who compares chain food to local food and strongly criticizes the poor quality of chain food. If I could close one chain, I would have succeeded. Story 114. I regret not seeing this post earlier. I won $1 and bought again. Story 115. Put it all in a high-yield savings account until I figure out what I am going to do with it. Story 116. I would call my church. I used to call my father, but he passed away last year. I tried to call him to let him know I was in rehabilitation, but I could not. It is a good thing I was there because they helped me get through it without relapsing. To prevent relapse, I would talk to the pastors at my church. They would be receiving a significant amount of support anyway. Story 117. Buy all the homes surrounding my ex-wife's house and turn them into free homeless shelters. Story 118. Hire an accountant to put the money in a trust. Since the payout is over 30 years, I want my children to be able to access it after my wife and I are gone. Story 119. Buy some Dijon ketchup to have with my Kraft dinner. I wouldn't be buying my Kraft dinner on sale at Canadian Tire anymore either. Well, I guess I would, but if it wasn't on sale, I would buy it anyway. Story 120. Rent a safety deposit box and put the ticket in there until I am ready to claim it. Story 121. Are we talking about the Powerball or like $1,000 on a scratcher? Story 122. Pay off my best friend's hospital bills, doctor fees, and home expenses. Story 123. Find the Reddit thread about what to do when you win the lottery. Story 124. Aside from the obvious financial advice, I would first pay off my credit card, get batteries for the solar system, trade the 2005 Honda Accord for a newer Honda Civic, insulate the porch, and invest the rest. With these changes, my monthly bills would decrease enough to make life easier, and that is all I need. Story 125. Hire a lawyer and an accountant. Buy some cocaine and a pack of Parliament cigarettes. Drive to the beach to walk in the ocean and decide what's next. Story 126. Pay off all of my wife's and my debt, which consists of 95% student loans and mortgage. Story 127. Get it all sorted and banked, then go to sleep. I would need to sleep a long time to be fresh enough to process what to do next. Story 128. I would settle the money for now and then go directly to the airport without even clothes. I would have a look and set off wherever interested me and go from there. Story 129. Probably run straight to Reddit and ask everyone what they would do if they had actually won. Story 130. Hire a financial advisor and a lawyer. Invest in Standard & Poor's 500 index funds and keep my mouth shut for at least a year. Story 131. Prendo I soldi e non lo dico a nessuno. Al massimo do qualche soldo ai parenti stretti senza dire nulla. Story 132. Hire a Jewish lawyer, a Christian lawyer, and a Muslim lawyer, as well as a Jewish accountant, a Christian accountant, and a Muslim accountant. Story 133. Pay off the house so if I made a mistake, I would still have a place to live. Story 134. Always this comment. Story 135. It depends on how much I win. Anything less than $500,000, I will pay off my mortgage, and the rest will go into savings and investments. If I win $10 million to $20 million, I could probably retire comfortably. If I win more than $20 million, I could retire and live a very fulfilling life until I die. Story 136. 3 lawyers, a certified public accountant, rental properties, at least 40% in an S&P 500 index fund, and a house I can pay cash for and afford the property taxes. Story 137. 1. Start an innocuous-sounding limited liability company. 2. Open a bank account and post office box for the limited liability company. 3. Get the lottery payment sent to that box and account. Keep your identity private as much as possible. 4. Pay off all debts. 5. Create trust accounts for my nephews and nieces. Then move on to living. Story 138. If I won the lottery, nobody around me would be poor or struggling. I am moving to a wealthy neighborhood within the first week. Story 139. Heading to the animal shelter to see practically how many dogs I can fit into my car. Story 140. Hire a lawyer, create a trust, pay off my student loans, take my 2 senior dogs and my cat on the best fur baby vacation where they can have the best safari ever. Story 141. Open the Reddit forum AskReddit and ask, what would you do first if you won the lottery? Story 142. Hire a lawyer, sell my business for a low price, and leave this country immediately. Story 143. After the obvious legal hubbub, I would buy a pure stock and work towards my racing license, then buy the latest chassis from Van Dorn and go real racing. Story 144. Quit my job and take a long break from everything to reassess life itself. Story 145. If we are talking about never have to work again money, I am walking right out of my job, and no one there would ever see me again. Then I would hire a lawyer. Story 146. Slap myself to make sure this was not a dream. Then call a lawyer. Story 147. I will tell you tomorrow night after the Powerball drawing. Story 148. Get a financial advisor and lawyer and set up a trust. Then eliminate all debt for my immediate family, grandparents, and friends from day one. We are all rising together. Story 149. Have my husband double-check the numbers because my dyslexia would probably convince me I was seeing things. Then get a lawyer and a financial advisor and call in sick from work. Story 150. Place an order for a $22,000 handmade Holland bicycle. Story 151. 10% immediately into an investment account for each of my children that they cannot access until age 30. Story 152. The great thing about the country where I live is that lottery tickets are taxed, so you receive the full prize money. Winners are not named unless they choose to be. You can buy tickets online, and any winnings over $1,000 are deposited directly into your bank account. Story 153. 1. Going on vacation. 2. Buying a home. I work full-time, have no debt. I make over the median income and live in the Rust Belt. I should be able to afford a home. Story 154. Hire a lawyer and have them create a limited liability company to collect the winnings. The biggest challenge is not letting the public, especially anyone you have ever met, know that you won. Story 155. I did not win the lottery. I did not do anything. I only won $4. Story 156. New phone number registered under a newly established shell company. Story 157. Shave my head so when they take my required photo I am not recognizable. Story 158. Tell my spouse and book us a cruise. No one can ask for money if no one can find us. Story 159. Haven't you seen the show, How the Lottery Ruined My Life? One man had a normal life. Then, all of a sudden, his brother kept trying to kill him literally. The insanity of what people will do and try to do. Story 160. Rent a house in a random rural part of the state, change all my information to that place, and claim the winnings from there. People where I live know me, but if someone with my name from Twain Harte, California won, no one would think that is me. Story 161. Probably check the numbers at least a dozen times to make sure. Scream, cry, and probably throw up from the anxiety. Story 162. If it was a life-changing amount of money, I would pay off all my friends and family's debt. If it was $1 million or less, just my parents. Story 163. Pay off my debts, upgrade and sell my house, buy my dream house, build an epic garden, art studio, game room, and a fun playroom for my kids. Live out my life in peace with the ones I love. Maybe travel some and enjoy good food. Story 164. Change my name. Open one bank account. Cash the ticket. Receive deposit. Change my name back to my original name. Tell no one. Story 165. Turn it in for $100 bills and roll around naked. Then I would call a lawyer. Story 166. Finally purchase VO3 and complete the ending to Game of Thrones. Story 167. Pay off all my debts and all the debts of my family members. My parents' house will be fully paid off and they will own it completely. The same applies to my brother's house. I do not have any children, but several of my siblings do. Their eventual attendance at college is assured, and they will graduate with zero student loan debt. Story 168. Lottery of what? Breasts? Money? Fruit roll-ups? I'll take breasts and swim in those. Story 169. 1. Get a safety deposit box and put the card inside, between the pages of a Bible or something similar. Place other semi-valuable items there as well, so it does not appear that only the Bible was stored. 2. Hire a lawyer and an accountant. 3. Be quiet and return to work until everything is properly set up. Story 170. Sign the back of the ticket, then call a financial attorney, a therapist, and my cocaine dealer. Story 171. If I have not turned in the ticket, I would remain anonymous and hire an accountant and a lottery lawyer. If it is after I have accepted the money, then I would just hire the accountant and lawyer. Story 172. Go find that long comment on Reddit. Found it. Not original poster. So, what do you do if you are unlucky enough to win the lottery? The most important thing you can do right away is nothing. Yes, nothing. Do not declare yourself the winner yet. Do not tell anyone. The urge will be nearly irresistible. Resist it. Trust me. 1. Immediately retain an attorney. Get a partner from a large national law firm. Do not accept junior partners or associates. Insist that your lead attorney be a partner who has been with the firm for a while. Do not use your local attorney, even if they are a family friend or have served your family for years. Do not use any firm connected to family, friends, or your community. Trust me, this is important. You want someone who has no prior connection to you or your family. Go to the nearest big city and walk into a national firm. Ask for one of the trust and estates partners you have previously looked up on Martindale-Hubbell from one of the largest 50 firms in the United States with an office near you. You can look up attorneys by practice area and firm on Martindale-Hubbell. 2. Decide to take the lump sum. Most lotteries offer a poor rate for the annuity, often around a 4.5% annual return or less. You can likely do better with access to the capital by taking the lump sum. If you take the annuity, you won't have access to that cash. That may be good or bad, but it is probably bad unless you have an addictive personality. If you need an allowance managed by the state, it means you disregarded point number 1 above. Why not let the state handle it and just give you your allowance? Many state lotteries pay your allowance, the annuity option, by buying U.S. Treasury instruments and running the interest payments through their bureaucracy before sending it to you along with a portion of the principal monthly. You will barely beat inflation, if at all. There is no reason you couldn't do this yourself if a low single-digit return is acceptable. You will not receive the full jackpot amount. Consider the case of Mr. Whitaker. His winning ticket was one of the largest on record. His jackpot was $315 million. He selected the lump sum cash option, which reduced the amount by $145 million, 46%, leaving him with $170 million. After withholding for taxes of $56 million, 33%, he was left with $114 million. In general, expect about half of the stated jackpot if you choose a lump sum. After that, expect to lose around 33% of your remaining amount to state and federal taxes. This may vary depending on your state tax rates. 3. Decide now how much you plan to give to family and friends. This should not be more than about 20%. Decide and tell your lawyer. Do not change it. For example, 20% of $114 million is $22.8 million. That leaves you with $91.2 million. Do not consult with family when deciding this amount. Family advice will be biased and may cause conflict. If others find out you consulted one relative and not others, it can lead to disputes and legal challenges. In some cases, plaintiffs have won lawsuits alleging undue influence. Never give anyone cash. Ever. Do not buy them houses or cars either. Tell your attorney that you want to provide for your family through a series of trusts totaling 20% of your after-tax winnings. The trusts can fund higher education, partial home purchases, weddings, and similar needs. Do not hand out cash personally. If you stop, you risk being called heartless. Trust me, it will not go well. You will lose perspective. Friends, family, relatives, and others will try to influence you. Setting up a managed trust fund worth tens of millions for your family is extremely generous. You will avoid conflicts by not offering personal loans or cash gifts. Your attorney will have good ideas on how to distribute your wealth without creating disputes among relatives. Story 173. Euro Millions? Probably get some serious advice so it is not gone in a year. Interest on most major lottery wins should last a lifetime. Story 174. God. Where to start? Put it in a secret bank account and tell no one. Most obviously, that would have to be the first thing. Get a financial advisor, hire a lawyer, and write my will. Pay off some bills for loved ones quietly. Donate to organizations like the Trevor Project or Planned Parenthood. Get that tooth fixed. Buy new tires for my car. After the obvious things, I would put aside a large amount for travel expenses and experiences because I love traveling and do not get to do it as often as I would like. Story 175. Carefully place the winning ticket into the secret inner lining pocket of my underpants for safekeeping, as most people would. Story 176. None of my friends would have debts or bills for a long time. Story 177. Retire and end relationships with many people who are friends. Story 178. There was a man who won and posted a detailed step-by-step process. He changed his name, moved to Oregon, and started a farm. His advice was excellent. He had it figured out. I wish I could find that post. Story 179. Buy a business. Get out of the corporate golden handcuffs. Story 180. My house is paid off and I have no debt. First, I would probably set up trust funds for both my children and my grandchildren. Next, I would hire the best contractor available to do a complete renovation of my house. Then, I would meet with a financial planner who does not work on commission to structure what to do with the rest of my money, providing a fixed amount every month like a paycheck. Story 181. Hire a good attorney, buy a new car, and live a semi-quiet life in a humble home. Travel in first class overseas for months at a time, maybe even buy a home at Disney World and enjoy it fully. Story 182. Take all close family and friends on a dream vacation and pay for their lost wages for taking time off. Story 183. Pay off any credit card or short-term loans. Put it in some high-yield savings and certificates of deposit. You would have to split it into $250,000 increments to be covered by Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation insurance. Then do nothing for the next 6 to 12 months as you get used to the new financial life ahead. Story 184. Disappear for 4 months while I assemble my legal team. Story 185. Get a good night's sleep, then call a lawyer, my certified public accountant, and a personal chef. Story 186. Tell no one, not even family. Hire a financial lawyer, yes, they exist. Continue working as if I never won. It depends on the amount won. $300 million and below, definitely. $500 million and above, I might consider retiring early, if and only if my financial situation guarantees full independence. Story 187. Put all but $1 million into a money market account. Build a house and live off the dividends from the money market. Story 188. Get a lawyer who is not beholden to the government of Israel. Story 189. As others have said, get a good estate lawyer. Then invest the money. Story 190. My mom got evicted because 2008 was a difficult year and all the bailouts went to wealthy banks. I would figure out how much it would cost to get whoever is in that house to move out, restore it to her original vision for the home, and move her back in. Story 191. Go to the bank to withdraw all the cash. I already had to put it on my bed, film myself swimming in it, and then post it on my social media accounts. Story 192. Give myself a high five and take my first breath of relief. Story 193. Hire an attorney, a fiduciary, and a money manager. I would not mention this to anyone outside of my wife and immediate family. I would also give my family a set amount, but only after they sign a non-disclosure agreement stating the source of the money. Story 194. Depends on how much I won. 1. Hire an attorney. 2. Hire an accountant. 3. Buy a stable place to live. 4. Pay my only child's college tuition. 5. Pay my nephew's college tuition. 6. Make sure the above nephew's twin brother is set up for life. He is on the spectrum and will need care for life. 7. Pay back everyone who has helped me in the last 12 months. 8. Buy my dream car, a cherry red Bentley convertible. 9. Hire a driver. I am too rich to drive. Mostly in that order. Story 195. The sad thing is that many lottery prizes are not life-changing amounts nowadays. Story 196. I will have to do something about all the begging letters. I may even start putting a stamp on them. Story 197. Completely ruined my credit score, making it impossible for me to borrow any money and forcing me to live only off the winnings. Story 198. Call everyone I know and ask to borrow $500 to be paid back in 2 months. Remember their answers when they eventually ask you for money. Story 199. Please stop talking about the lottery. I will disappear slowly. Story 200. Wish for unlimited wishes. Wait, what was the question again? Story 201. While all of you are hiring lawyers, I will be on the most exciting trip of my life. Story 202. Besides all the lawyer, financial, and tax matters, the first thing I would do is give my phone to someone I trust. I would tell them I cannot explain, but if anyone calls, to inform them that they received my phone when the police released it and that I am dead. That should buy me some time. Bank calls. He is dead. Work calls. He is dead. Family calls. He is dead. Girlfriend calls. He is dead. I need to create some distance from piranhas and vultures. Story 203. 1. Fund my parents' retirement. 2. Pay off my friends' school loans and fund a retirement account for them. 3. Get surgery. 4. Buy a Prius C. 5. Put the rest into investments such as Treasury inflation-protected securities, certificates of deposit, and index funds, and use the interest to help people. Story 204. Porsche 911 so I can drive over to talk to my new lawyers. Story 205. Quit my job, get a lawyer, a certified public accountant, and a money manager. My goal is sustainable distribution of my newfound wealth. Story 206. So after the boring hire a lawyer, fiduciary, pay off debts, and so on, that's where it gets interesting. A really fancy dinner followed by something extravagant and nice for each member of my family. Story 207. Go and sit on a balcony in Barcelona, relax in the morning sun, and think about what I would like to do. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.